Hi everybody, I'm Cheyenne and welcome back to my channel. First of all, I want to wish you all a happy Easter. I hope you're all having a splendid weekend with your families, your friends. Drink responsibly and don't eat too much chocolate. So this is part 2 of my Stalker story. If you didn't watch part 1, I highly suggest you go watch part 1. This will make more sense if you do. So we left off last week with me going to the south of France, leaving the village I was living in where I had so much against me. I needed a break. I needed to reconnect with myself, be in a safe and secure environment, and I was completely lost and drained and scared. So I went to the south of France to stay with some friends. This is where the second part of the nightmare begins. I was at a friend's house who happened to live in the middle of vineyards surrounded by mountains, and she had a small terrace. I hadn't seen the terrace that day, so I didn't exactly know how big or how small it was. But at night, in this particular region of France, there's not a single light, there's nothing. We are out in the middle of the country, pitch black. You can't even see your hand. If you put it up in front of your face a few inches, you can't even see it. That's how dark it is at night. So I was suffering again from insomnia. I wasn't doing well. I couldn't sleep because of everything that had happened over the past couple of weeks. So I went out on the balcony on this terrace to get some fresh air. I was having a panic attack and I just wanted to breathe. Unfortunately for me that night, again, there was no safety barrier. There was nothing. There was no wall to protect someone that was standing on the terrace to fall over. There was no guardrail. There was nothing. And I fell. I fell from the second story onto this small road in between the vineyards where it was all little stones and pebbles and rocks. I fell right on my left heel. I obliterated my heel. I shattered everything. And I fractured 3 vertebrae. And so at this point, I just couldn't believe it. I was in so much pain. I had to wait. I was conscious the entire time. I had to wait an hour for a doctor to get there to transport me to the hospital. But that's another story time. I just want to give you a setup. Go to the hospital. They put 6 screws in my heel. Now, unfortunately, and I found this out later on, they put 1 screw too many in there, which is why it took so long for my foot to heal. Again, I'm going to reserve that for another story time, but needless to say, I wound up in a wheelchair. I couldn't put any pressure on my left foot for months, and I was stuck in this wheelchair, and I was communicating on Instagram and on Facebook what had happened. I couldn't believe that something else had happened. I just wanted a break. I just wanted peace and quiet. This happens again. This happens again. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, watch my first video, Surviving Death, and you'll understand why this is in my mind, this is an outrage for me. This is the pinnacle of injustice for me personally. Now, I was communicating with my mother via Facebook Messenger. I was posting stories on Instagram and Facebook telling people, look, this is what happened. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't believe this is happening right now. I was in so much pain and I was stuck down there because I had to remain in this wheelchair and I couldn't take a plane to come home. Now, Boris, and for those of you that don't remember, Boris is the stalker slash perpetrator when it comes to the online harassment that was thrown at me. He decides that he is going to start a smear campaign on all social media under, of course, his fake profiles because, of course, he doesn't want anyone to see him. He's like a little fat mole. He wants to stay underground. And he started this campaign saying that I was never really in a wheelchair, despite me showing, my injured foot that was so swollen with this huge scar. I had 12 staples in my foot. It was horrible. Saying, no, this is Photoshop. She just wants more attention. Just like the last time when I talked about being SA'd in my own village where I was supposed to feel safe, where he said, I did that for attention. I was a liar. This person, for no reason, I have my doubts, I have my suspicions. I think it's just because I didn't want to sleep with him because he had tried. He would always show up wherever I was. He would always just be there, lurking in the background. If I went to this cafe, he'd be there. If I went there, he would somehow be there. He was always there. And now he took this opportunity, now that I wasn't in my village anymore, he took this opportunity to post horrible pictures of me in this wheelchair, making fun of me, mocking me. And then he started bringing my mother into the picture, saying that my mother, who in the 80s and 90s had been a top model in France, in Europe, he started saying that she was a porn star. I'm not saying that's bad. I am not at all saying that's bad, but that's not who she is. He was saying that she had been selling me for years online to sleep with older men. He was saying that we were both horrible people, mother and daughter, selling one another for sex. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Saying that I was never in a wheelchair and this was just all some big ploy to make everyone feel sorry for me. Now I'm getting an operation next week. So on my next story time, you'll get to see me with my cast and my scar because they're removing the 6 screws finally from my feet. I'm someone that's been very unlucky physically. I've had some major accidents, but I'm not someone that would pretend to be injured. I'm not someone that would fake being in a wheelchair for 6 months with a corset around my waist to support my back and with a huge scar on my foot. It looked like a shark had taken a bite out of my foot. That's how bad this surgery was. And he mocked me and started this big campaign under these fake profiles, calling me a liar, saying my mom sold me on the internet, that my mom was a P word, if you know what I mean. PROST, ... that she had never been a model, that everybody here in this house was lying about their past. Meanwhile, he's the one we know nothing about. We just know that his grandfather had a lot of power in this village, which is why these people, including the cops, protect his sorry ass. But that's all we know. He lives in a small little house on his dying father's property, and he does nothing except harass people, stalk people, and not even putting his face out there. He doesn't even have the balls to put his face out there. He just hides under different profiles, and I have been his target, and my mother included. It's been 3 years now. And he started mocking me again and posting horrible pictures of me. He would go through the internet, find pictures of me, alter them, and post them everywhere. The picture he took, this is something I talked about in my first video. When he came over to the house and I was asleep in my room, he took a picture of me and then posted it online everywhere saying that I was a drug addict. Look at Cheyenne. She's passed out. Well, you're right. I was passed out because I had been SA'd 48 hours ago, and I was so overwhelmed with grief and stress and anxiety and insomnia that, yeah, my doctor prescribed me some tranquilizers so I could sleep. Sorry that I didn't throw a party, Boris, after being SA'd. Now, again, if this is something that has happened to you, please post it in the comments below, because this is not okay. This is not okay, and it's still going on for me. When I posted my first video, he kept going. He kept saying it never happened, this, and that. Started contacting people that had left comments, so don't be surprised if you leave a comment and he contacts you. This is what I'm dealing with. But like I said before, I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to show my face because I don't feel like a victim. I refuse to let him win. I refuse to let him think that these actions, even though it is stalking, it's online harassment and bullying, even though all of this is not okay. It's not okay. Especially since I can't even defend myself. I'm still using crutches to walk around. And then next week, I'll be in a cast and I'll be bedridden for 2 months. That won't stop me from posting videos, obviously. But it's someone taking advantage of a weaker person. It's so easy. It's so easy. It's pathetic. I just wanted to share that story with you. This was sort of the end of part 2, just how it continued for 6 months while I was stuck in a wheelchair in the South. I contacted Instagram, contacted the police even. They said they did their job and brought in an expert and that it was coming from America, but they don't know where. I don't believe it. That's BS. I don't believe that for 1 second. I'm surprised the cops in this village even have one working computer. So I doubt they brought in a computer specialist to analyze where these different fake Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts were coming from and that it was coming from America. It's not coming from America. It's coming from 1 minute down the street. They even went to his home and they said, "Do you have any computers?" The cops went to his home and asked for his computer. He said, "I just have one. Look," he opened it. They couldn't see anything, so they left. They didn't even go in there and search for other computers or his telephone or take his computer and computers back to be analyzed. Nothing. It was just like, "Oh, hey, is there a dead body in this house?" "No, there's not." "Oh, okay, thanks, bye." But that's the village mentality here. And as a result, I lost a lot of friends, a lot of women who I find it very weird that a woman, and these are middle-aged women, who would shun me, not talk to me, and not even support me because they believed this douchebag. And they also shamed me when I had been SA'd. coming from a woman, there's something wrong there. There is something wrong there. But that just goes to show you, that goes to show you that in some villages, it's it's an epidemic. Gossip is an epidemic. And destroying someone's reputation, even though it's online, making me feel so insecure because he was always following me everywhere. But I couldn't do anything because I was the new girl in town, and I'm not born and raised in this village, so nobody cares. So don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to put the word out there. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Talk about it. That's what's important. Because we can't let these people think that we're not going to talk about it or speak up or tell our stories. These people are losers. They're pathetic. That's all they are. They're pathetic. The lowest form of aggression for me is when these men, these old men, they go and they start smear campaigns against women that have done nothing to them, but they're so sexually frustrated, or maybe they have tiny, so they just go off the rails and they try to destroy you online. But it's not going to work because, again, like I said last time, who is the stronger of the sexes? Because right now, I'm pretty damn sure it's me and others like you that are standing up and talking about this. I want to thank you so much for watching the video. Please feel free to subscribe, put a little like, please leave a comment below. I would really, really appreciate that. And feel free to leave your story, please. Feel free to message me with your story. You can always find me on Instagram. I've listed that in the description box at Wild Yoga Girl if you want to share with me your stories, or leave them in the comments below. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful Easter. And I will see you next time with another story.